The market pulled back in April, but it bounced back in May. Because of those April numbers, I was looking forward to doing this video all month. Let's get into it. There were 159 condo and townhome sales in Kelowna and West Kelowna in May. That is up from 115 in April and up from 152 in May of last year. The spring market finally showed up. Quick note though, before I get into it, this data, it covers Kelowna and West Kelowna only. There's no Lake Country, there's no Big White, and leasehold condos are always excluded. So here's how the years looked month by month. January had 75 sales. February, there were 103. March had 144. April, it dropped down to 115. And then the big news, May hit 159. The sales numbers came back above where they were a year ago. Whether those numbers hold into June is another story. As always, I separate apartments and townhomes because they attract different buyers at different price points. Apartments saw 103 sales with the median price at $425,000. There were 56 townhomes sold with the median price of $740,000. Apartment prices are down about 5% compared to May of last year, when the median was $447,000. The townhome prices, they're actually up 10% from last year, at $675 last May to $740 this year. As you can see, the market moved in different directions over the last 12 months. So let's look at bedroom counts. We'll start with apartments. 2-bedroom units made up 72 of the 103 sales. That's about 70%. There were 15 one-bedroom sales, 13 3-bedroom sales, and 3 studios were sold. 7 out of 10 apartment buyers, they chose 2 bedrooms. That has been consistent all year. The price gap between 1 and 2 bedrooms is obviously close enough that buyers just move up a little bit. In the townhome market, there were 22 3-bedroom units sold, which is about 39%. 2-bedroom units saw 20 sales, which is 36%. And there were 14 4-bedroom townhomes sold, which is about 25%. And townhomes attract a wider range of buyers at different life stages. So the demand, it spreads more evenly across the bedrooms. That also means that if you're selling a 1-bedroom apartment or a 2-bedroom townhouse, you're fishing in a smaller pond. Price needs to be on point and the property needs to show well. So let's look at price ranges, starting with apartments. There were 42 sales under $400,000, which came out to be 41%. In the $400,000 to $600,000 range, there were 38 sales, or 37%. Between $600,000 and $800,000, there were 12 sales, or 12%. $800,000 to $1 million, there were 7 sales. Above $1 million, there were 4 sales. 78% of the apartment sales were under $600,000. As you can see there, that is the apartment market right now. So let's look at townhomes. There were only 4 sales under $400,000. They were mostly smaller, older units. In that $400,000 to $600,000 range, saw 11 sales, which was 20%. There were 21 sales in the $600,000 to $800,000 mark, which was 38%. 27% of the townhome sales were in the $800,000 to $1 million range. It was only 15 sales, but a good chunk of the market. There were also 5 sales above $1 million last month. Just like last month, the $600,000 to $800,000 range is where most townhome buyers are looking. Overall, about 65% of the townhome sales fell between $400,000 and $800,000. If you like data like this, you should subscribe. I put out a monthly market update every month with the same breakdown. It's the only place in Kelowna that's focused exclusively on condos and townhomes. So active listings at the end of May, there were just over 1,000. 614 apartments and just over 400 townhomes and strata units. At May's sales pace of 159, the overall months of inventory sits at about 6.5 months. Apartments are at 6 months, townhomes are at about 7.5. For context, under 3 months is a seller's market, 3 to 6 months is a balanced market, over 6 months is a buyer's market. Apartments are right at the line between balanced and buyers. Townhomes last month are clearly in a buyer's market. Compare that to April, when overall inventory had climbed to 8.3 months. May was a lot more like March. Sales picked up and new condo listings slowed down. We're still in a buyer's market overall, but it looks a lot healthier than it did in December. So when you're looking at the real estate board posted stats, the days on market have a blind spot. When a realtor cancels a listing and then relists it at a lower price, The days on market counter, it goes back to 0. In May, about 1 in 8 condos did exactly that, which was 20 of the 159 sales. The MLS shows an average days of 57. The true average, once you account for those relisted properties, is 83 days. Apartments, they average 75 days on market. Townhomes, they average 97. And here's how that breaks down by price range. Under 400,000, 77 days on market. 4 to 600K, 69 days. That was the fastest moving price range in May. The 6 to 800,000 price point is worth looking at a little more closely. The average was 90 days, but the median was 48. Most condos in that price point, they sold in a reasonable amount of time, but a handful, they sat for a long time before selling, and it pushed that average up. 48 days to sell is what most sellers in that market actually experienced. Now, 800,000 to a million averaged 90 days. Above 1 million, the average days on market was 141 days. But 3 of the 9 sales sat for over 200 days, and they're skewing that number a lot. With only 9 sales above $1 million, these numbers can swing. So the properties pulling those averages up almost always needed a price adjustment before they sold. Now let's look at what sellers actually received. I compare the sold price to the original list price, not the price that it was reduced to before it sold. That is the number that shows the gap between what sellers expected and what the market was willing to pay. Overall, sellers last month received about 95.7% of their original asking price, roughly 4 cents off every dollar. And if we break it down by price range, under 400,000, 95.1. 400 to 600,000, 95.5. 6 to 800,000, 97.1. 800,000 to a million, 95.8. Above $1 million was 94.2. The $600,000 to $800,000 price range, it held the closest to the original asking price. Again, lower priced condos gave up the most. That pattern has been consistent all year. Of the 159 sales in May, 52% of them were owner occupied, 31% of them were vacant, and 5% were tenant occupied. The remaining 12% were condos where the occupancy, it wasn't specified in the listing. Now, tenant occupied properties at 5% is pretty consistent with the Q1 and April. Tenant units are harder to show, and they often don't show as well. And this, without question, is going to affect your final sale price. What areas were most popular in Kelowna and West Kelowna last month? Once again, Lower Mission led the month with 27 sales. Kelowna North had 25 sales. Rutland, 22 sales. Kelowna South and Springfield and Spall each had 16 sales. West Kelowna combined, which was West Bank Center, Shannon Lake, and Lakeview Heights, had 19 sales. Glenmore and North Glenmore combined had 15 sales. And the University District, which includes UBCO, had 6 sales. Lower Mission led again with 27 sales. But last month was a lot closer, with Kelowna North, which is downtown, right behind it at 25. A few things stood out in the main numbers. Condo sales recovered. 159 sales is above May of last year and well above April. The spring market looks like it was just late. Months of inventory is down from 8.6 to 6.5. It's still a buyer's market, but some days I wonder. Apartment prices are down 5% year over year. Townhome prices are up. The $400,000 to $600,000 range is the busiest, and well-priced condos are selling. I saw that firsthand last month. The condos that showed well and were priced right were the ones everybody wanted. I saw buyers competing for the same units, and I also saw buyers having to become backup offers because somebody acted before they did. An example, our 2 homes in Balmoral that sold last month, each of them had offers within the first few days. When something fits and the price is right, other people are looking at it too. You need to remember that everybody is looking for the best home at the best price, and when people find it, they're acting. So the thing to watch heading into June is whether this volume holds. June 2025 had 132 sales. If June 2026 comes in better, it suggests that the spring market really did just start late this year, rather than stalling out completely. So that's the May 2026 market update for Kelowna and West Kelowna. For building by building research, KelownaCondos.ca is the place to start. If you want a deeper look at some of Kelowna's most popular buildings right now, check out the video reviews I did for One Water or Morvala. I'll put the links in the description below. And again, if you found this useful, a like helps other people find it too. And if you know somebody buying or selling in Kelowna, feel free to pass this along. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.